It's the first trading day of 2025 and I just pulled off one of my best trades to kick off the year. On this trade, I made $21,000 within the first 7 minutes of the first day of the year 2025. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining everything, where I entered, why I entered, where I exited, why I exited, including my strategy. So let's get straight to it. Here's the weekly chart of Tesla. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that I like to start with the higher time frames, most likely the weekly and sometimes a monthly chart as well if it's closer to the end of the month. On the weekly chart, I have been talking about this in the Discord group for a very long time now, that we got rejected before the break of 500. This weekly bar was not bullish. It was in fact bearish. We had a doji on high volume. Volume is really important. So that means the volume increased. Buyers tried to push it towards the upside, but sellers came in with high volume and they were able to drop it down. So my whole thesis behind this trade was I have been looking forward to this trade for the past 2-3 weeks, but because the volume was low the last 2 weeks of December, this week is, and the start of the day, start of the new year is the perfect day for this opportunity. So I mentioned this in the Discord group that we might actually go for the test of 400, maybe even 360 before we see the break of 500, and that's what happened. So on the weekly chart, we can see that we are trying to find some resistance. So yes, I'm looking for downside if given the opportunity, if we see a nice setup towards a downside on the daily chart. So the weekly chart looks like, okay, it might sell off. On the daily chart, let's see on the daily chart what happened. This was 31st of December. We saw a drop. We dropped under the prior all-time high, which we made 2 years ago, which was 414.50 exactly. This high was the prior all-time high in 2021 actually, which was 414.50. We dropped and closed under that level on 31st of December. I was not trading on this day. I was with my friends, New Year's Eve and everything, so I was not trading. The price action was also really slow, but the important thing is that even with this low volume, we closed under that level. Now, coming to the first day of 2025, this day, we had the delivery numbers. And if you guys look at the Discord group, here's the Discord group. On 1st of January at 5:45 p.m., I mentioned that Tesla 410 rejection for prior low break, possible push towards 400. And this is the same game plan I have been talking about for the past few days. You guys can see exhaustion squeeze under prior low is possible. I'm looking for downside because the weekly chart looks like it's gonna pull back to most likely 400 or 360 before 500. And I posted this game plan at 8:45 a.m. EST, which is 5:45 p.m. my time, Dubai time. And at 9 a.m., we had the delivery numbers and it sold off. So my plan in the pre-market was the rejection of 410 for a push towards 400. It just happened in the pre-market. We can see that we got rejected right from 410. This is 410 zone. We pushed towards all the way to 385 and then we were pulling back. So my game plan worked out in the pre-market, but because I trade options, I wait for the market to open up because you can't trade options in the pre-market. And this is a perfect opportunity because I have a playbook called, I'm going to show you guys the playbook and TradeZilla and all the good stuff and my stats for this trade. The playbook is called ER/News Catalyst. So this was a news catalyst play because we had the delivery numbers. The weekly chart looks bearish. The daily chart closed under the prior all-time high in 2024, the last day of 2024. And today we have a news catalyst. And because of that news catalyst, we have a bearish reaction of the market, right? I don't care what the news is. I still don't know what the numbers were, right? So I just want to see the market's reaction to the news. Never trade the news, just trade the market's reaction to the news, especially as a day trader. As a swing trader, you have to focus more on the fundamentals, but as a day trader, that's my mantra. Don't try to interpret the news that if the news is bullish or bearish. Again, I still don't know the delivery numbers, what the numbers are actually, but the reaction was negative and that's what I care about. Now, the other important thing is that because we haven't stayed in between this range from 400 to 380 for a very long time, maybe a few days right here and maybe a few days back in 2021, that means we have a volume gap right here. That means in between this zone, we might see aggressive pushes up or aggressive pushes down because we don't have any major levels in between this zone. It's also called a volume gap. I can add the volume profile and you guys will get a better idea. Here is the volume profile visible range. And if I go back and if I look at the, say, since 2021, we can see that it's very low volume zone. This here zone is very low volume because we haven't stayed in between this zone for a very long time. Only a few days of trading here and there in 2021 and now in 2024 and 5. So that's why I was like, okay, if we get a push down, it can be an aggressive push down. And if we get a push towards the upside for the break above 400, that also will be an aggressive push towards the upside because again, the whole point of volume gap is There are no important major critical levels in between this volume gap zone. Let's now take a look at the 1 minute chart of this stock and look at where I entered and exited. But before we do that, this is the game plan I posted at 5:45, but at 6 p.m. my time, 9 a.m. EST, we have a pre-market webinar for the Discord members, and that's where I mentioned the updated game plan that I'm going to be looking for a rejection of 395 and 392 for the break or pre-market low, and if we get above 400 for a potential push towards the upside. If you guys want to join our Discord group, I will have a good coupon code for you guys with new pricing option, and I'm going to be disclosing that towards the end of this video. But for now, let's take a look at the pre-market action of this stock. We can see that right here in the pre-market, we sold off all the way from 410. My game plan was 410 to 400, happened in the pre-market, happens. And then the pre-market low, I'm going to mark it for you guys. The pre-market low was this level, which is it's magnet right here. 383.25 was the pre-market low. After that, we had a bit of resistance around 395. This is the pre-market level. So I have to look at the pre-market levels because, as I mentioned, we don't have any major daily levels on the daily or the weekly chart because we haven't stayed in between this range for a very long time. So I have to look at the pre-market levels because these levels are going to be important. Then after the rejection of 395, we found some support around 392, 391.8. And this is an important zone. We can see support right here, and we broke under that support, acted as resistance again in the pre-market. So this is an important zone that I will be watching for a breakdown. And that's what happened. Right before the open, we pulled back to that zone. After the open, within the first 1 minute, we tested that 392 zone. We got hammered from there based on the tape because tape is also very important. Looking at the market depth, there were no big orders and big orders going above 392. We briefly broke above 392. We can see that the high of this candle right here is 392.73. We briefly went above that 392 zone, no big orders above 392, and that's where I executed my trade. I entered 380 puts, 50 of them. My investment was around $22,000 on this trade. I just held it. My entry was at 9:30 a.m. right here, 9:30 a.m. candle. My first exit was at 9:34 after the break of pre-market low. And I only took like 10 contracts out. I was really slow in taking my profits because that's one of my goals for this year is that hold on to your winners and cut your losers. That's the basics of trading. And then I kept taking profits right here on this candle, and the premiums moved approximately 120 to 130% from my entry. We're going to take a look at the stats again. And then I exited all my position right here. And why I exited right here? Because this is a move from 391 all the way to 375, which is about 16 points move within the first 6 minutes of the market open. ATR of this stock is $23. That means if a stock moves 70 to 80% of the ATR within the first 6 minutes of the market open, I don't expect the next pullback to just be a pullback. I expect aggressive push towards the upside or downside depending on what the initial trend was. And that's what happened. If you look at the 5-minute chart, my exit was right on point because I was like, okay, this stock has moved 70-60% the ATR after having this insane push down within the first 6 minutes of the market open. I was not expecting that. So the pullback is going to be really harsh. And that's what happened. We can see that we pulled back. We made a doji on the 5-minute chart. Another good reason to exit your position as soon as it makes a new 5 minutes high. And then we just pushed towards the upside and we chopped around for the whole day. We made a new low of the day right here, but that was a fake out. But we just stayed in between that range that we made right off the open. It moved 20 points within the first 10 minutes of the market open. And that was the range of the stock. We can see that the whole day, it only moved $20 for the day. So it moved the whole day's range within the first 10 minutes of the market open. And that's how you use ATR and DTR to your advantage. And also I had this level 377, 380 zone. It comes from the daily chart, actually from the hourly chart. If you look at the hourly chart without the extended hours, we can see that we don't have any major levels again, like we just kept on pushing towards the upside. The one level where we found some resistance turned into support was around 377 and 378 zone, and that's where we found support again. So my entry was on point and my exit was on point. Let's now take a look at the stats of this trade. So here are the stats for this trade. 2nd of January, only one trade for the day, and I made $21,000, 144 exactly on this trade. And if you open it, we can see that the return on investment, ROI, was 92%, which is amazing. And the playbook. So if you go in the playbook, I have these two playbooks, ER/News Catalyst, as I explained before. Then also gap and go setup. That means we gapped down because of the News Catalyst, and then we had a gap and go setup. So we just followed the trend that we gapped down to. And then on the stats, we can see that my stop loss, my entry was 4.59. I entered 380 puts. And my average exit was 8.83. But if you go in the executions, the premiums went from 4.5 to a high of $10, $10.8. And I remember seeing premiums around $11.5 as well for a brief moment just before this push towards the upside. If you look at the chart of the premiums, it should be visible right here. Yeah, so the premiums went all the way to around, so 11 point something, right? $11 or something. But on Webull, and if you look at Interactive Brokers, it's actually around $12. So yeah, nice entry, nice exit, held on to my winner. So yeah, I think I did a pretty good job managing this position. And this was also a 930 breakout. The realized R multiple, because my exit was at $4, that means my risk was around $3,000 and I made $21,000, which is a 7-hour trade to start the year. And that's why this trade is it's a really good trade to kickstart the year. It's not about the dollar amount. You could have made $2,100 by risking $300 and that would still have been a really good trade. Still a really good trade looking at the stats, right? Again, it's all about risk to reward. It's a 7-hour trade, which is amazing. And that is the only metric I care about. It's a 7-hour trade. I could have made $21,000 by risking $20,000. A bad trade, a bad start to the year, but this is actually a good start to the year. If you think only I made money, you're wrong, because in the Discord group, you guys can see this member made another good amount of money. I can't calculate it, but yeah, again, a really good trade right here on 3 contracts. This member made approximately, say, $600-700 if I am calculating it correctly, from $7.5 to $10. And then this member made like $1,100. So, and that's why with options, you don't need big amount to make good amount of money. And this member made like $620, 5% of his account. Amazing trading, right? Amazing trading. So if you guys want to join the Discord group, the link will be the first link in the description box below. And also now, finally, we have the yearly membership option. I have been getting this question for a very long time. We launched the Discord in 2021. Up until now, we only had the monthly membership option. But if you now go for the yearly membership option, you already get a good discount. But if you use the promo code 2025, you're going to get additional 20% off. And if you go for the promo code applies to both monthly and the yearly membership option. So honestly, I think it's a really good deal, right? If you go for the yearly and apply the promo code on top, it's basically less than like 80 or it's less than $1,000 a year, which is a really good deal. So yeah, that's it, guys. And if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I already posted about this day, including my entries and exits and my PNL on my Instagram story. The link will be in the description box below. If you guys like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for a lot more content on day trading. And thank you for watching.